In a violence-stricken realm where clashes between slayers and demons take center stage, a flicker of romance is visible. Looking past the bloodshed and war, the demon core are human after all, and love is obviously part of their emotions. So while the action usually keeps the audience on the edge of their seats, we will be taking a different route and analyze the different couples that Demon Slayer is yet to mention. Let's start with number 1, Zenitsu and Nezuko. What we know from the get-go is that Zenitsu has got to be the biggest coward in the entire series. I mean, bro literally started wailing as soon as he was selected for the Demon Corps, and crying about how he's going to die. Keep this in mind as it will help you to appreciate Zenitsu's actions for Nezuko even more. Their first interaction got off to a rocky start, as Nezuko was seated in a box on Tanjiro's back when they met Zenitsu, who was on his knees begging another girl to marry him. What makes it even worse is that the girl reveals she's engaged, and that she had only asked Zenitsu if he was fine. Whew, and I thought I had L-Riz. However, Zenitsu shows a more honorable side to himself when, during a mission, Tanjiro gets separated from the box Nezuko is hidden in. Just when it seems that Inosuke might attack the box, Zenitsu places himself between the two and silently suffers the blows. Although he has still not seen the girl, it seems as if her presence has already begun to make him a better person. Their first real physical meeting is also quite bumpy, as he sort of freaks out at the sight of a girl coming out of Tanjiro's box. However, once the shock wears off, his testosterone takes over, and he quickly accepts that he's fallen in love with this fair maiden. He then goes as far as to present her with flowers, which is an obvious reflection of his feelings. Question is though, does she like him back? They soon begin spending more time together, with Zenitsu even talking to her while she was closed off in her box. Her lack of verbal communication does not seem to be a problem for our boy, who's able to understand the way she scratches against the wood of her tiny abode. Love truly does make us do dumb stuff, even when it means talking to a box. Our boy goes as far as to attempt to rescue Nezuko on the demon train by using his thunder breathing, and even the girl is touched by this act of chivalry. Even though he is then heard snoring, which then shows he's still asleep, Nezuko places his head on her lap, which further adds fuel to the stories of a budding romance between these two. Zenitsu's obsession probably reaches an all-time high when he catches sight of Nezuko once she becomes immune to the sun. Her speech is still limited, but our overeager lover can barely keep it in his pants, and immediately asks her if she would marry him. He finally gets his shot at love after defeating Muzan and rescuing Tanjiro from turning into a demon. A completely human Nezuko is much shyer than her demon self, and does not respond to Zenitsu's request to be his wife. However, she does not refuse them either, and if their wholesome moments are anything to go by, they definitely look like in-game. Our theories are proved correct, as after the time skip, Zenitsu and Nezuko's great-grandchildren are revealed, whose names are Yoshiteru and Toko, spitting images of the two of them. Guess love really does exist after all. Number 2, Yorii and Uta. After such a wholesome love story, let us switch up the dynamic a bit and look at a couple whose tale will probably have you bawling and grabbing a box of tissues. The greatest demon slayer of all time, Yorii Tsugikuni, lived some 500 years ago during the Sengoku era. Inventor of the breathing styles used by Tanjiro and the rest of the Kamado family, he's renowned for the work he did for the future demon slayers and the path he paved for them. However, his story does not begin with ambition or determination to become the best. After running away from his house as a kid, he meets a girl of his age standing by a lake without moving. Upon inquiring, he finds out that she has recently lost her family to the plague and is mourning. She further reveals that she came by the water to catch some tadpoles, but does not want to separate them from their family and decides to let them go. Yorii understands that the girl is lonely and decides to take her along with him. He had always been of a quiet nature, preferring solitude to company, but actually enjoys conversations with the girl, whose name is Uta. She helps to widen his view of the world, and most of his character development is due to her. 10 years later, the two get married, and Uta soon expects a child. Yorii leaves them for a day to summon a midwife, but returns late as he gets caught up helping an elderly person. To his horror, the slaughtered bodies of his wife and unborn child lie before him at home. Such is his grief that he mourns their death for 10 whole days, cradling the figures, almost hoping that they would spring back to life. Another swordsman eventually breaks him out of his trance and encourages him to bury their bodies and pray for them. When he finds out it is a demon who robbed him of his family, Yorii is filled with rage to rid the world of the fiends once and for all. However, what sets him apart from other power-hungry characters of the series is simple nature. In his words, "My dream was to live a quiet life with my family in a small house where we would sleep side by side. I would be close enough to see the beloved faces of my wife and child, and close enough to reach out and take their hands. That would have been enough." But even that did not come true. Demons exist in this beautiful world. This proves that it was his love for Uta which eventually drove him to hunt down demons, rather than a lust for power. Number 3, Inosuke and Ai. Alright, let's come back to the present timeline. Although Inosuke is revealed to be younger than Ai, there are multiple interactions between the two of them that may suggest they have feelings for each other. Going into their personalities, they both have a stubborn nature, where they feel like they can never be wrong. However, while Inosuke seems to love to rough it out on the battlefield, Ai is more of a whiner, constantly complaining about how she is of no use to them. Sakura, since she's unable to slay demons demons. However, her healing abilities take center stage later in the series. Their initial interaction at the Butterfly Estate is barely noticeable, since Inosuke is seen wearing his boar mask throughout, while Aoi is being her usual obnoxious self and ordering everyone around. The boy is the youngest in the group, so it's understandable that he is yet to view girls with anything similar to affection, unlike his friend Zenitsu, who seems like he was born with a love for all girls far and wide. If you think Zenitsu and Nezuko's ship got off to a rough start, wait for these two. During a simple game of tag, Inosuke went as far as to throw a drink into Aoi's face, and then holding her upside down. The girl is anything but polite, as she loudly lets her feelings known with an ear-shattering scream. You can almost predict how loud their house will be if they ever do get together. After returning from the Mugen train, the trio of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke are concerned when they hear Aoi screams. Turns out that Tengen, the sound Hashira, is forcefully taking her along for a mission, and since she already fears actual combat, she refuses to accompany him. Inosuke steps in and offers to take her place, even though he had just returned from a mission. Although this seems like a minor gesture to a common watcher, whenever Inosuke offers to do something nice, you cannot help but sit up and take notice. Their close relationship is especially evident when he returns injured from the sound Hashira's mission. Aoi is distraught and can barely keep the tears out of her eyes as she explains to Tanjiro how deep the poison had gotten into his friend's system. However, he soon appears by her side and seems to be his usual cocky self. She then continues to be concerned for the boy and keeps telling him to be careful, despite his constant taunts and insults. As is the case with most men, the way to Inosuke's heart was through his stomach. During one scene in the Butterfly Estate, Aoi is busy cooking in the kitchen when Inosuke attempts to steal some of the food stealthily. However, she catches sight of him, and after lightly scolding him, she hands him a plate of food and assures the hungry boy that she would keep refilling it until his stomach is full. Inosuke stares at the plate in disbelief, and slowly a blush is evident on his face. This seems to be the first real sign of affection that he has shown towards Aoi. There are not that many evident scenes in the rest of the series regarding this couple, but it is shown that they do end up together in the final volume when their great-grandson, Hashibira Aoba, is revealed. The Ao in his name is similar to the Ao in Aoi's name, and he shares some very evident facial features to Inosuke and Aoi. The Demon Slayer fanbook does shed some more light on this highly unlikely couple, for those wanting to learn more about them. If anything, this ship proves that opposites such as Inosuke's love for war and Aoi's constant whining do actually attract and end up together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out this other very interesting video appearing on screen. See you in the next one!